RG3 impressed last night as the Browns quarterback. He played most of the first half yesterday against the Falcons, completing 6 of 8 passes for 2 TDs. He also ran for 36 yards on 3 carries. Stephen A., are the Browns going to be better than we think with RG3 at the helm?
No. I mean, they're not going to be worse than the 3-13 season that they had last year. But are they going to be much better? No. But I don't think it's because of RG3. First of all, it was nice to see him knowing how to slide. It's very, very important. He's saying that he knows how to slide. Maybe he's been taking some baseball lessons. Maybe he's been hanging out with Terry Francona and the Cleveland Indians. Who knows? I hope he is, because he definitely needs to slide. But I don't think this season is going to be great. I don't think it's going to be the fault of Hugh Jackson. I don't think it's going to be the fault of RG3. I think that when you have a roster bereft of talent at a multitude of positions, because they basically cleaned house. They've had like 14 new draft picks from last April. I definitely think it's one of those situations where you look at the Cleveland Browns and you got to ask yourself, what do they have? Are we really supposed to depend on Josh Gordon to be available? We hope and pray that he will, because we wish nothing but the best for him. But hoping and praying is entirely different than expecting. And so you got to look at it from that grade. Barnage, I mean, he had a good year last year. We get that. Had over 1,000 receiving yards, about 79 receptions. We get that. Duke Johnson, he can run the ball out of the backfield, but the offensive line is still suspect. That means the protection for the quarterback is still suspect. That means as a result of that, you're going to have to run the football more than you're throwing it, because obviously you're not going to be able to create with so many protect the quarterback as much as you would like. All those things considered, combined with the defense being highly suspect in the AFC North, and there is no question in my mind that the Cleveland Browns are destined for last place. I don't think it's going to even be close. And as a result, they will have a miserable season record-wise, but I think a very good season in terms of recognizing progress and being on the come-up.
I think Hugh Jackson makes that O-line better. I think you're wrong. I think the Browns are going to be ascending. I don't think so highly of the Ravens, and everyone is already tweeting me, oh, you said they're going to be better than that. It's possible. If I had to list them, I would list them 4th out of 4 teams, but I don't know. The Ravens, like, we'll see. I know the Steelers and the Bengals will be the class of that division. But let me tell you what I saw from RG3 yesterday. I saw a guy who has been properly humbled by the game. RG3 was such a phenom that he played as though he thought he could impose his physical attributes on the game. No one can do that at the quarterback position. Not even Cam Newton. Like, nobody can do that in the long run. And I saw a guy who was willing to slide, as you mentioned, who took the sack instead of trying to do too much. Still, I don't know if I'd say struggled in the short and intermediate game, but wasn't making those reads and completions. But let me tell you something. If you can get behind the defense, as Terrell Pryor did, as Barnage did, as Josh Gordon will certainly do if he's on the field, he will get you that ball. Robert Griffin III has not only does he have a cannon, but he has touch on those downfield passes, and that can make up for a whole lot.
You hope.
You get behind the defense, he will find you.
Well, you hope. What we saw from him in his rookie season, we saw the occasional deep ball, but primarily his athleticism and his breakaway speed running north and south. He's not the most elusive runner in the world, but he will blow right by you in the pass. Whether that's still the case or not remains to be seen, but he was never an elusive runner. He just had breakaway speed. And in terms of his deep ball, does he have deep ball capability? Sure, but there were times where the ball flooded a little bit. It stayed up there a little bit too high, a little bit too long, and you don't have Deshaun Jackson back there. Now, let's keep in mind that even though Josh Gordon is a stud and Barnage is good, and we get all of that, you talking about Deshaun Jackson as one of the elite deep threat in the game in Washington. Didn't get too many of those, and it wasn't just because of his injury.
But Gordon's an overall better receiver.
Yes, of course, of course. But what I'm saying to you is that in the end, you have to protect him enough, because, again, to throw the deep ball, you got to have time.
So who better than Hugh Jackson?
I'm not. Well, again, when you talking about who better than, I'm saying Hugh Jackson's going to get this team steered in the right direction.
Yeah, but particularly on the offensive line, they're going to do some things.
I don't think it's going to be this season. I think they got too much stacked against them. I think it's too soon to expect that from them. And you got 3 teams
quickly.
That are go ahead.
The schedule. At Eagles, that's a winnable game. Yeah. The Eagles are no great shakes. You think the Ravens are great. They play them in Cleveland. I don't know about that game. At Miami, that's a winnable game. At Washington, Washington should win. Patriots, first week that Brady's back, they're going to kill him, of course. At Titans, winnable. At Bengals, okay, the Bengals will win. Jets in Cleveland, the Jets should win. Cowboys, Romo probably won't even be available by then. I mean, I'm looking at that schedule. They could have as many wins as losses 2/3 through the season.
They could, but they won't. Because they're the Browns, and history says so. Last several years, what is it? 2011, 4 wins. 2012, 5 wins. 2013, 4 wins. 2014, 7 wins. That was good. Last year, 3 wins. Listen, they're moving in the right direction, but there's a reason they crash-landed and just cleaned house, because they don't have much, and you're not going to get it back that quick.
RG3 is going to surprise some people.
You know who looked all right? Jimmy G. After Tom cut his thumb there,
Who is
putting his
that?
cleats on.
Who's that?
Jimmy G, the quarterback for the Patriots.
I don't know who that is. What's his name?
Right. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Garoppolo.
He looked nice
That'd
in
be
that
the set
Belichick system. He was all right. So the Baltimore Ravens, they were plagued by injuries last season. They had 20 players on IR, the most ever by a John Harbaugh team. Joe Flacco missed 6 games. Baltimore also gets Justin Forsett, Steve Smith, Terrell Suggs, and many more back. Now, Suggs believes the Ravens have a shot at going from a 5-11 team to a championship team, saying, quote, I would have to say, since our Super Bowl year and the year before, I think this is the best we've looked since then. You hear that, Stephen A?
You know what? I know this is hard to believe, but I believe them.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you think about that Super Bowl team, yes, we hear the names Ray Lewis, and we hear the names Ed Reed and guys like that. Let me be clear. You're talking about 2 future Hall of Famers, 2 of the greatest defensive players in history. Nothing but profound respect and reverence to those guys. But they were on the tail end of their careers, basically retired after that, literally in the case of Ray Lewis. So when you look at it from that perspective, nothing can replace what's up here, and I'm willing to concede that. But in terms of what the body, in terms of speed, athleticism, cover ability, etc., can allow, I think a legitimate case can be made that they certainly weren't what they used to be, even at that time that they ended up winning the Super Bowl. You got to remember, when the lights went out, okay, and the game was delayed and all of that other stuff, even though San Francisco was assisted by that, a lot of people felt like the only reason why San Francisco didn't end up with the Super Bowl championship is because they ran out of time, because they came storming back in the second half. Having said all of that, you just look at it. You look at Suggs being back. You look at Brandon Williams. You look at Jernigan, Urban, Dummerville, Mosley, Orr, Smith, and all of these guys. You know what they can do defensively. You know what Harbaugh can do as a coach. And then offensively, you've got a Flacco who's already proven he's a Super Bowl champion. He's not great, but he can get it done, particularly in big games. Forsett is one of the other reasons why you haven't heard much about Ray Rice, because after all, Ray Rice, the controversy he got himself in, domestic violence, etc., I believe that community would have forgiven him had he not opened his mouth against the owner. But in the end, what it comes down to is you can afford to be without him because he ain't Forsett. Then we've got Steve Smith coming back. And I know that he's coming back from the Achilles. I get all of that. But he's Steve Smith. I don't care that he's 37 years of age. He's got the heart of a lion. He finds a way to get it done. They were calling him done before last year. And before he went down, he was averaging more than 95 yards a game. Steve Smith can ball. And I believe that he will be will he be a superstar? Anything like that? It doesn't have to be. As long as he's somebody that can step up and get it done with Akins and just, I think it's Jusic or whatever, the tight end. The bottom line is this. I just look at Baltimore being hard-nosed, the Rough Riders that they are. I believe they can make some noise, and even though I still think the Steelers could win that division, I could see Baltimore making it rough and possibly getting a wild card spot in the playoff picture. And once the playoffs begin, all bets are off.
I see what's happening here. You're a Steelers fan, and you're trying to appease the football gods with all this Raven talk. They got you know the divisional rival's going to play you tough, so you're a little more impressed with them than you should be.
That would make you a bit clueless, because for a Steeler fan to appease a Raven fan, you clearly don't know Steeler fans.
Well, you're a little more impressed with the Ravens
we don't do that.
than the evidence indicates. Now, Steve Smith is inspirational. Steve Smith's not what he once was, but he's a money-on-the-line type player. Joe Flacco, money-on-the-line type player. I get it. Problem is, money's not going to be on the line. They're not good enough. Let's look at last year. The defense allowed 25.1 points a game, their most in any season since 1996. They allowed 30 passing touchdowns, the most in franchise history. There's your Ravens defense. Even when Flacco was healthy last year, behind that O-line or whatever you want to call it, he wasn't any good. A total QBR of 41 was the second worst among starters in the NFL. The only guy who was worse was Nick Foles, who had an historically bad season last year. So do I think under pressure, Flacco and Steve Smith and the like could come through? If the money's on the line, could they? Yeah, but what makes you think the money's going to be on the line in a division with your Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they're somewhat diminished, a bend but don't break defense in Pittsburgh, which, by the way, should be a little bit improved. Even without Martavis Bryant and Le'Veon Bell, they're still going to have a great offense. Everyone knows it. Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, of course, D'Angelo Williams. And the Bengals are one of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL. And last year, we didn't get to see Dalton in the playoffs because he got hurt. But there was evidence, if you're looking for some, that maybe he's turned a corner in terms of those clutch moments. He was better in the fourth quarter than he had been in previous fourth quarters in previous seasons. He seemed to get better as the game went on. In the bigger games, the primetime games, he played better than he did otherwise. There were little indicators like that. But even without those indicators, that's for like the playoffs, the Bengals on paper are clearly better than Baltimore. In fact, I think the Browns have improved, and they're comparable to Baltimore.
Hold on, you're smoking something. Did you just say that the Cleveland Browns are on the same level as the Baltimore Ravens? You've got to be crazy. That is nonsense.
You know what?
Cleveland's defense alone, there's nothing to discuss.
I just said Baltimore's defense. 30 passing touchdowns.
First of all, second half of the season, they look much better than the first. They got Eric Weddle at the safety spot. You're getting Terrell Suggs back. Orr's good in coverage. You're moving C.J. Mosley over to the middle linebacker spot. You've got John Harbaugh still coaching that team. I'm sorry. I'm not sleeping on Baltimore at all. Not to mention the fact that they got hot with Cincinnati. All the talent. They always have all the talent. I'm not betting my money on any team that can't win a daggone playoff game in a decade under Marvin Lewis. I know we're talking regular season.
In that division, at best, Baltimore's third best. Listen.
And I'm telling you, I think number two. I think
ahead of who?
Cincy. Yes, I believe that. I really believe that. I really believe that.
20 guys on the IR last year.
I believe that's right. 20 guys on the IR last year. But not only that, I'm going to tell you what, because I don't believe in Cincinnati. She knows, everybody knows. I don't believe in Cincinnati. I've had Cincinnati Bengals right up in my face, told them straight to their face. Y'all got all the talent in the world. Y'all worrying enough.
I love this time of year.
If you will win another uniform,
everyone's going to be good.
Listen,
Suggs is confident, of course he is. Oh, we're going to be the best. Of course, it's that time of year.
Wait a minute. It's not about what he believes. It's about what his resume proves. Terrell Suggs has come back from injuries before and played lights out. Don't sleep on the brother. T-Sizzle is T-Sizzle for a reason. So let's be clear about that.
You call him T-Sizzle. I know he's a good player. That don't mean they're going to be good.
What has Cincinnati done to prove to you that? Don't get me wrong. Talent-wise, they are Super Bowl contenders. Talent-wise, but the flip side to it, what have they ever proven on the field?
You're already in the playoffs. I'm talking about the regular season.
I'm just saying. But I'm saying.
So if you have two teams demonstrably better than you in the regular season, how are you going to get to the playoffs?
Now, please, let me tell you something right now. I think Cincinnati will find a way. You going to bet your money on Andy Dalton?
Oh, in the regular season over this Baltimore squad?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Okay. We'll find out. We'll find out. I like that. I like that. I like that because see what I love about it because
Dalton was great last year.
Because just in case you try to flip, you're on camera now. You're on camera.
I'm gonna flip.
Yeah.
Did you miss every Bengals game last year?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I saw games that they won, but I obviously also saw games they lost, including when they collapsed against Pittsburgh because they couldn't keep their heads on.
That is the truth. They didn't have their quarterback.
Shots fired. All right.